Do you believe you're doing everything right to manage your diabetes? That you're following the advice, taking your medication, and even seeking extra help from those supplements everyone recommends? What if I told you that one of these supplements, one of the most popular and perhaps even sitting in your medicine cabinet right now, could be secretly sabotaging your efforts? What if, instead of helping, it was acting like a hidden poison in your body? This isn't a statement I make lightly. In my more than 30 years of clinical practice, sitting face-to-face with people like you, I've learned that the journey with diabetes is paved with hope, but also with a lot of frustration. Today's promise is clear. I'll reveal what this supplement is, why it can be so harmful for some, and what you need to understand to never fall into such traps again. But more importantly, I want you to understand the why. Why do you feel so tired, even when your glucose levels seem okay? Why doesn't the brain fog lift, and why does the scale seem to fight against your every effort? It's because diabetes isn't just about blood sugar. It's a condition that affects every cell in your body. And when you, with the best of intentions, introduce an element that further unbalances this delicate system, the results can be disastrous. Stay with me, because by the end of our conversation, you'll not only know who this false friend is, but you'll also have the knowledge to discern what truly heals from what only appears to. The truth about what happens inside your cells when you take the wrong supplement is the missing piece in the puzzle of your well-being, and I guarantee you won't want to miss it. Let's start with a feeling I know all too well, because I see it in my patients' eyes every day. It's exhaustion. Not just physical fatigue, but the mental exhaustion of having to be a scientist, a nutritionist, and a police officer of yourself every day. You wake up and the first thing you see is the glucose meter, that little drop of blood that dictates your mood and your allowances for the day. You plan each meal like a military operation. Can I eat this? And if I eat, how much? And what about my medicine? Have I taken it? What time is the next one? It's a constant burden. And in the midst of this daily battle, it's natural, it's human, to look for a shortcut, an ally. That's where the pharmacy supplement aisle or online stores become so alluring. Shiny bottles promising blood sugar balance, metabolic support, natural energy. And one name in particular crops up frequently, recommended by friends, influencers, and sometimes even less informed health professionals. Chromium. And more specifically, a form of it, chromium picolinate. It's sold as the simple solution to improving insulin action. The theory is appealing. Chromium helps insulin unlock your cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy. A simple idea, an easy pill. What could go wrong? Herein lies the problem. Our body isn't a car engine where you can simply add a supplement and expect everything to work better. It's an incredibly complex symphony orchestra. Every nutrient, every mineral, every vitamin is a musician with a specific role. And health doesn't depend on one musician playing louder than the others, but on the perfect harmony between them all. When you isolate a single mineral, chromium, and deliver it in a highly absorbable synthetic form like picolinate, in doses hundreds of times greater than you could ever get from food, you're not adding a musician to the orchestra. You're handing the trumpeter a megaphone and asking him to play non-stop. At first, you may not even notice anything, or perhaps you feel a small improvement, a placebo effect fueled by hope. But behind the scenes, at the cellular level, something worrying may be happening. Studies in vitro, that is, in the laboratory, raised a red flag years ago. They suggested that the picolinate molecule, the substance used to transport chromium into your cells, could, under certain conditions, generate an excess of free radicals. Think of free radicals as tiny sparks that ricochet inside your cells, damaging vital structures, including your own DNA. This process is called oxidative stress. And guess what condition is characterized by a tsunami of oxidative stress? Diabetes itself. So imagine the irony. In trying to put out a fire, insulin resistance, you may unknowingly be throwing small embers into other corners of the house, weakening the walls, rusting the foundations. The hidden poison isn't necessarily chromium itself, which is an essential mineral in trace amounts. The poison is the approach. It's the idea that a single silver bullet can solve a systemic and complex problem. It's a lack of respect for the body's symphony. This oversimplification is the first and most dangerous pitfall in the diabetes journey. Understanding this is the first step to truly regaining control. It's not about abandoning hope in nutritional solutions, but about elevating it to a level of intelligence and wisdom that your body deserves. If this initial revelation has already shed some light on things for you and made you question what's in your cupboard, then I urge you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. What I'm going to show you next will delve even deeper into this truth and give you the tools to become the master of your own health, not just a passive spectator. Like this video so this crucial information reaches more people who may be making the same mistake. Now that we've lifted the veil on chromium picolinate, let's dive deeper. I want you to understand, on a biological level, how this help can become a hindrance. To do this, let's use a simple analogy. Imagine your cells are houses, and glucose is the delivery person who brings the energy the house needs to function. Insulin is the key that unlocks the door for the delivery person to enter. In type 2 diabetes, the door locks, the insulin receptors, are rusty. The key, insulin, fits but has difficulty turning. The result? The energy delivery person, glucose, remains outside, accumulating in the streets of your neighborhood, which is your bloodstream. This is insulin resistance. Chromium, in its natural function, acts like a drop of lubricating oil. It helps the insulin key turn in the rusty lock a little more easily. A small amount, obtained from foods like broccoli, grapes, or whole grains, is enough for this task. Now, what happens when you take a high dose of chromium picolinate? You're not just adding a drop of oil, you're forcing the lock with a high-pressure tool. This may force open some doors in the short term, but it also causes another problem: competition. Think of your body as a construction site with a limited number of workers. These workers are the absorption pathways in your gut. When you flood your system with a massive amount of a single mineral like chromium, that mineral monopolizes the workers. And other essential minerals, which require the same workers to be transported into the body, are left behind, waiting in line. Two of the most important minerals that compete with chromium for absorption are iron and zinc. Iron is crucial for transporting oxygen in the blood and for energy production. An iron deficiency leads to fatigue, weakness, and that brain fog so familiar to many diabetics. Zinc, in turn, is a guardian of the immune system and plays a key role in wound healing, a critical point for anyone with diabetes. It's also a powerful antioxidant, helping combat that very oxidative stress we mentioned. See the vicious cycle? You take a supplement to help with glucose, but it can end up impairing your absorption of iron and zinc, leaving you more tired, with lowered immunity, and less able to fight the cellular damage caused by diabetes itself. I remember a patient, let's call her Anna. She came to my office absolutely frustrated. "Doctor, I don't understand. I've cut out sugar, I'm walking, I'm taking my medication, and on top of that, I'm spending a small fortune on this chromium supplement everyone says is a miracle worker. But I feel increasingly exhausted. My hair is falling out, and any cold knocks me out for a week." Upon investigation, her glucose levels were only marginally better, but her ferritin, the body's iron reserve, and zinc markers were dangerously low. She was unknowingly trading one problem for another, trapped in a metabolic trap created by the search for an easy solution. Anna's story is the story of millions. It's the consequence of treating the body as a collection of separate parts rather than as an interconnected whole. Her problem wasn't a lack of effort, it was a lack of the right strategy. Her body didn't need a megaphone shouting a single instruction. It needed a fine-tuned orchestra. We stopped high-dose chromium and focused on rebuilding her mineral reserves with a rich diet and, temporarily, iron and zinc supplements in gentle, non-competitive forms. The change wasn't overnight, but within a few months, her energy returned. Her brain fog dissipated. Her skin glow returned. And interestingly, with her body more balanced, her glucose control also improved in a much more stable way. Does this experience sound familiar? Have you ever felt this way, investing time, money, and hope in a supplement that simply didn't deliver what it promised, or perhaps even left you feeling worse in other ways? Leave a comment below sharing your experience. Your story is important because it helps validate the feelings of so many others going through the same journey, and together we can begin to shift this narrative of magic pill to one of whole health. Hearing Anna's story, you might be wondering, so if the solution isn't in a single pill, where is it? The answer, while not the one that sells magic bottles, is the only one that works long-term. The solution lies in creating an internal environment where your body can begin to heal itself. Supplements can be useful tools, but they are just that. Tools. They can't build the house alone. The foundation of the house, the structure that supports everything, is built with the bricks of your lifestyle. Let's talk about these building blocks, but in a way you may never have heard. Let's start with nutrition. Most diabetics live in fear of carbohydrates. They're seen as the enemy. But that's a dangerous oversimplification. It's not carbohydrates that are bad, it's the type and to quality. It's them that matter. Think of the energy they provide as a fire. Refined sugar, white bread, sweets. It's like throwing paper on a bonfire. It burns quickly, creates a high, intense flame, a glucose spike, and then goes out, leaving only ashes and the need for more paper. You feel energized for a moment and then exhausted and hungry again. Now, think about high-quality carbohydrates, vegetables, greens, whole grains, legumes. This is like adding dense, solid wood to a fire. It burns slowly, steadily, and for a long time. It releases heat, energy, steadily, without sudden peaks and valleys. This is the kind of energy your body craves. The key isn't to eliminate carbohydrates, but to choose wood over paper, and the fiber in these foods acts as a safety net, further slowing the rate at which sugar reaches the bloodstream. It's a shift in mindset, from deprivation to intelligent nutrition. The second building block is movement. And please, forget the idea that you need to kill yourself in the gym for hours on end. Consistency is far more powerful than intensity. I want you to visualize your muscle cells again. Remember the doors with the rusty locks. Exercise, even a light walk, does something magical. It creates new doors on the surface of muscle cells, and these new doors don't need the key of insulin to open. They open simply with muscle contraction. This means that with every step you take, your muscles are actively removing sugar from your blood without having to overwork your pancreas. Moving after a meal, even for just 10 or 15 minutes, is one of the most powerful and immediate strategies for reducing the post-meal glucose spike. It's not about punishment, it's about giving your body an alternative and efficient way to manage energy. The third building block, and perhaps the most neglected, is sleep. Many of my patients complain that diabetes has ruined their sleep with trips to the bathroom, cramps, or anxiety. But the relationship is a two-way street. Poor sleep dramatically worsens diabetes. When you don't get enough sleep, your body goes into alert mode and releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol has one mission: to ensure you have enough energy to deal with a threat. And how does it do this? By signaling your liver to release more glucose into the bloodstream. Furthermore, cortisol also makes your cells even more resistant to insulin. In other words, a single night of poor sleep can result in the next morning having the insulin resistance of a pre-diabetic person, even if you don't have the condition. Prioritizing sleep, creating a relaxing ritual, darkening your bedroom, avoiding screens before bed, isn't a luxury. It's a medical necessity for diabetes management. These three building blocks, smart eating, consistent exercise, and restorative sleep, form the non-negotiable foundation of your health. Without them, any supplement you take will be like trying to hang an expensive painting on a wall made of sand. It will fall. Building this foundation not only improves your numbers, it restores a sense of control and vitality. It transforms you from a victim of illness to an architect of your own recovery. And it is on this solid foundation that we can then begin to use the right tools in the right ways. Once the foundation is solid, we can return to the tools. But now, with a new perspective, we're no longer looking for a silver bullet, but a synergistic toolbox. The key word here is synergy. In biology, synergy means that the combined effect of several elements is much greater than the sum of their individual effects. It's 1 plus 1 equals 3. A well-tuned orchestra sounds infinitely more powerful than the sum of the sounds of each musician playing alone. In diabetes nutrition, this approach is revolutionary. Let's abandon the idea of chromium as a lone hero and think of it as part of a team. And what other players do we add to this team? The first and most important is magnesium. If insulin is the key and chromium is the oil, magnesium is the hand that turns the key. More than 300 enzymatic processes in the body depend on magnesium, and many of them are directly linked to glucose metabolism and insulin signaling. The vast majority of the population, especially diabetics, are magnesium deficient. Supplementing with a highly bioavailable form, such as magnesium bisglycinate, can be a game changer, calming the nervous system, improving sleep, and making cells much more receptive to insulin. The second star player is a substance I consider one of nature's most fascinating: berberine. Extracted from various plants, berberine acts as a metabolic master switch. It activates an enzyme within our cells called AMPK. Think of AMPK as the cell's energy control chief. When AMPK is active, it tells the cell, "Stop storing fat, start burning energy, and please pull more glucose from the blood right now." Berberine's effect on activating AMPK is so potent that scientific studies have compared its effectiveness to some frontline diabetes medications. It helps reduce glucose production by the liver and improves insulin sensitivity in a completely different and complementary way to chromium and magnesium. The third essential member of our team is alpha-lipoic acid, or ALA. While the other players are focused on managing glucose, ALA is the protector, the cell's bodyguard. Diabetes, as we've seen, creates an environment of high oxidative stress, those sparks that damage everything. This damage is especially dangerous to nerves, leading to painful diabetic neuropathy. ALA is a unique antioxidant because it is both water and fat-soluble, meaning it can protect all parts of the cell, inside and out. It neutralizes free radicals, recycles other antioxidants like vitamin C and E, and to top it all off, it has also been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. Now, imagine the power of synergy. You have magnesium, the hand, helping insulin, the key, function better. You have chromium, the oil, but in the correct dose and form, like polynicotinate, which is more stable, lubricating the lock. You have berberine, the master switch, activating the cell's energy burning system through an independent pathway. And you have ALA, the bodyguard, protecting the entire structure from collateral damage. This is no longer a musician with a megaphone, it's an orchestra. I saw this symphony in action with a patient named Mark. He was an engineer, highly skeptical and analytical. He had tried chromium alone, then metformin, but still struggled with glucose spikes and energy that plummeted mid-afternoon. He was resigned to a life of limitations. When we introduced this synergistic approach, combined with lifestyle adjustments, the change was profound. He showed me his continuous glucose monitoring charts. The roller coasters of before had given way to gentle hills. "Doctor," he told me, "it's not just the numbers. I have the mental clarity to work all day. I have the energy to play with my grandchildren on the weekend. I no longer feel like a diabetic patient. I feel like myself again." Mark's story is not a miracle. It's the logical result of working with the body's intelligence rather than against it. I know what you're probably thinking right now. "Doctor, this all makes perfect sense. Magnesium, berberine, alpha-lipoic acid, the right kind of chromium. But how do I actually do this? Where do I find these ingredients? What's the right dosage of each? How do I ensure they're high quality and free of contaminants? How do I combine all of this without making a mistake?" That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And your concern is completely legitimate. Putting all these pieces together can feel like a full-time job, a maze of research, costs, and uncertainty. You can spend weeks reading labels, comparing brands, and still, in the end, not be sure you made the right choice. It's exhausting and can honestly be a huge waste of money and, more importantly, precious time. It's precisely for this reason, having seen this same struggle in so many patients over the years, that I feel a responsibility to go beyond simply providing information. My role as a physician is also to facilitate the path to a solution. Therefore, I want to present you with the criteria for an ideal solution, the principles you should seek. First, synergy. The formula must combine the right ingredients that work together, enhancing each other. Second, bioavailability. It must use the most absorbable and stable forms of each nutrient, such as magnesium bisglycinate or chromium polynicotinate, to ensure your body actually utilizes them. Third, scientific dosage. The amounts of each component must be based on clinical evidence, neither too much nor too little. And fourth, purity and trust. The product must come from a source that guarantees the absence of contaminants and unnecessary additives. By following these principles, you can create your own protocol. But if you're looking for a reliable shortcut, a path that's already been researched, validated, and prepared for you, then I invite you to check out the resource I recommend in the link in this video's description and also in the first pinned comment. This link doesn't lead to just any product. It leads to a protocol that was developed precisely based on these four pillars: synergy, bioavailability, dosage, and purity. I recommend it because it removes complexity from the equation. It delivers the complete, fine-tuned orchestra in an integrated solution, saving you the hassle of having to become a biochemist to restore your health. Consider it a reliable map designed by experts to guide you through complex territory. It's my personal recommendation for anyone looking for a safe, smart, and convenient way to apply everything we've discussed today. Of course, it's crucial to include a liability clause here, as I do with all my patients. This approach, while science-based and extremely safe for most people, requires common sense. If you have any advanced kidney disease, are pregnant or breastfeeding, or are already on a complex medication regimen, especially blood thinners or other hypoglycemic agents, it's absolutely imperative that you speak with your personal physician before starting any new supplement. They know your history and can ensure that this approach integrates seamlessly and safely with your current care. A responsible professional doesn't offer one-size-fits-all solutions, but rather guides each individual on their unique journey. The final message I want to leave you with today is one of empowerment. Diabetes doesn't have to be a sentence of progressive decline. The frustration you feel isn't a sign of personal failure, but rather often the result of following a flawed strategy focused on silver bullets rather than comprehensive care. Your body has an innate and powerful ability to rebalance itself. You just need to stop placing the wrong obstacles in its path and start providing it with the right tools. Stop being a passive symptom manager and become the active CEO of your health. The journey begins with knowledge, with the courage to question what everyone tells you is true, and with the wisdom to choose a smarter path. If this conversation has brought you new insight, new hope, or a new direction, I ask you to do two things to help me spread this message further. First, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming in-depth discussions on how to take back control of your health. And second, share this video. Think of someone, perhaps a friend, a family member, someone you love, who is also struggling. This sharing could be the light they've been waiting for to illuminate their own path. Thank you for giving me your time and trust today. Take care of yourself and remember, you have more power over your health than you realize.